camps and across the world, of course. And feel free to tweet about it. And if you want to tweet, there's a hashtag Rohingya reply, because this is about the perspectives of our Rohingya brothers and sisters. So I will turn over first to Raith in the camps. How are you guys all feeling? What does it mean to you? What happened this morning? Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you for asking. We had a pretty packed day. I'm a little out of voice, excuse me for that. We just met with Professor John Packer from the University of Ottawa, who was also looking at one of our schools. A few of our teachers were here with us, both females and males. The sisters had to leave, unfortunately, because of certain curfew timings that we have. So they're not with us. But from the other teachers were, we've got Chuck and I'm over here. It's a jubilant moment, let me tell you that. It is joy everywhere. It is something we've anticipated for a long time. And I will pass it on to Shafi to spend a few words about what he thinks. It is certainly a beautiful moment.
And we have a book that we can repeat without any prayer with that is
Thank you. Was there anyone else there with you who wants to say something?
Yeah, would you like to add something? Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ridwan. I live in Rohingya refugee camp in Bangladesh. So we are Rohingya in South Africa. And actually, I think that there should be possible to fix to Myanmar government with their. Thank you so much.
As leads the right definition of the camps. If you walk around, people are doing their own things. Kids are everywhere. They are in their own world. Men hustle, do their small shop businesses that are sprawled all over the place in the refugee camps. I think there's a connection. Okay, so it's really live and usual. It is a packed, dense, pleasant place to live. And where you hear from time to time in some shops, a small radio would be talking about the decision of the ICJ and people huddling to them. Apart from that, it is really life as usual. I don't think things change until there's changes on the ground, until there is an enforceable decision, which is something we have discussion, I'm sure, discussion for. How powerful is the decision if it cannot be enforced? You see? So things change for us over here. 4.2 million people living in the worst condition imaginable out there on this planet. It all changes if they are given the dignity of human, if they're allowed to return back to their homeland with peace, with status, with the possibility to have education. We were just had a meeting with, as the pack I was telling you, we had all our teachers here, but from primary school, ICJ was one of the things on the discussion with all talking. So, until things change on the ground, it is not really a giant deal, but we welcome the decision, regardless.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with our connection issues. I think you've highlighted something very important there. This is just one step on the long road to what we hope will end in justice. So we all need to hang in there and stay together and support each other through this process. I will turn now to the panel here before you. I will quickly introduce them, just their names and their affiliations. We start on the end here with Dr. La Mint, who's the president of the Rohingya Intellectual Community Australia and the chair of the Arkan Human Rights National Organisation. I'm so sorry, Arkan Rohingya National Organisation. I really should be wearing my glasses, but I'm not. So please forgive me. Next to La, we have Chung Kin, who's the president of the Burmese Rights Organisation UK, Burmese Rohingya Organisation UK. I'm so sorry. Next to him, we have Yasmin Ullah, who's with the Rohingya Human Rights Network. Got it right. And on the end, we have Ne San Lwin with the Free Rohingya Coalition. So I'm going to turn to the panel now and ask you, we can just go from La to Ne at the end. Quick question, 2-3 sentences. What does it mean to you? What happened this morning? La.
Today is a historic event. It's a major victory and it's one step forward. The justice of the global, the justice of the global, the wheel of the justice has been turned in our favor. So they're yet to come. There will more to be expected. I think this is just the beginning. We will get the outcome that we're anticipating, and that's what at least my expectation is.
Thank you.
I think today is a historic day and historic moment even right now, where we just left last 2 hours ago, and it's incredible, unbelievable, as a genocide survivor, as I've grown up in our Arkan state, I have seen these human rights violations, and we've been campaigning, we've been lobbying many governments for many years. We calling for justice. When I met, like 744,000 Rohingya fled from Burma to Bangladesh in 2017. I spent 1 month fasting, unitedly. What I heard from them is, we want justice. Please, we want insaf. That's what they told. So, I feel that today, when listening, the verdict from the judge is make me, we are moving forward. We believe that, we hope that justice is coming soon on the Rohingya, and whoever committed these crimes, they can never get away with that. No matter what kind of reports or government commission they try to, government commissions they try to divert, there's no such way. Anonymously, 17 judges supported it, and it is totally incredible. We feel that Rohingyas today, with Rohingyas international community, like they show solidarity. This is such a great moment for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here. And thank you for all of your work in supporting us. Thank you, No Peace Without Justice, for allowing us to have this space to talk about our feelings, and most likely it's just going to be about feelings today, but we've had to almost suppress that feeling, recognize as equal as others. These are some of the things that we've never had. We're still fighting for it. We're still struggling. The brothers and sisters in the camps are, trying their best to be engaged to have this platform, but they're living in very, very dire condition. And that includes my brothers and sisters in Rakhine State at the moment. Now, today's unprecedented court order help us be able to frame, and the ICJ court is framing a different narrative. Not so different from what we're calling for, but they're allowing us that space to be considered a protected group, an ethnic minority. Regardless of peace or war, we are a protected group. And that's just something that we've been fighting for such a long time, to be humans as much as anyone else. I am incredibly happy to hear that, but I also know that we have a long road ahead of us. So I just hope that I can count on you all to be here 4 years from now, or 40 years from now, when we have to rebuild this community. I hope that you are going to be there with us through thick and thin. And I hope that when we need to rebuild that community, when we're able to go back home, or whatever happens next, that you're going to stand with us as firmly as you do now. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The first wave of massive violence against the Rohingya began in February 1978. After almost 42 years, today is the it is a great day for us. We know that there is a long road to go ahead, but today the order from this world highest court is a first step to end our 4-decade-long suffering and to end genocidal policy against us by the Burmese military and the government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I start with you, Nay, and ask you to go maybe a little bit more in depth? You mentioned the genocidal policy. We know that recently there's been a renewed denial of humanitarian aid. I was wondering if you could reflect a little bit on that type of situation, the humanitarian aid situation, and how that sort of fits with what happened this morning.
Yeah, let me start with from the 1948. After Burma gained the independence from the British colonial in 1948, Rohingya were recognized as one of the official ethnic group, and we enjoy the full citizenship. In 1949, my great-grandfather applied the citizenship, but he received a letter from Minister of Justice saying that he doesn't need to apply the citizenship because he belonged to the one of the indigenous ethnic group of Burma. This evidence still I have. And during the democratic government, we were elected, and my great-uncle was a constituent assembly member, which was founded by the General Aung San, father of the today Nobel Peace Laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. We were recognized by the Burmese military. There are a lot of evidence. But in early 1970, the Burmese military government planned to wipe out the entire community from the country and to destroy the entire community. So they have launched the Dragon King operation in 1978, which was the massive violence. As a result, 270,000 had to flee to Bangladesh. But a few months later, they were driven out as an illegal Bengali immigrant from Bangladesh. But they were repatriated a few months later as Rohingya. We still have many documents that issue at the reception center at the Bangladesh-Burma border at the time, and in the application form, the form they have issued to the returnee, they mention the race name clearly that they are the Rohingya. So 4 years later, the regime entered the new citizenship law, which make us stateless within our own country. Since then, they have used this genocidal policy against us, and restricted all movement, marriage, birth, education, healthcare, and in 1992 they have imposed all the restriction in place. So, for example, if the Rohingya want to travel from one village to another, even the 2-3 minute walking distance, need the special permission from the village authority to travel a short distance. So there were very limited access to everything. And again in 1991, the government launched the same operation like a Dragon King in 1978. As a result, about 300,000 had to flee to Bangladesh again, and a few thousand only returned to Myanmar again in 1995. and most of them are still remaining in Bangladesh. So in 2012, there were state-sponsored violence against the Rohingya, which the government framed like, the communal violence. And as a result, about 150,000 were herded into the camp, which is same as a concentration camp. I have visited all the concentration memorial site in Germany. I have seen the similar camp. My own fellow people living in Situe and the other township in Rakhine State. So they are still in those concentration camp now. Those people remaining in other area in the northern, especially in northern Rakhine State, in Budira, Mondo, and Ratela, they are exactly like in the apartheid condition. And I have experienced all this type of thing in the South Africa apartheid museum. So since 2016, nobody is allowed to travel from one town to another, even with a special permission. Before that, at least the people can apply for the special permission, bribe the authority, they can still travel from one town to another. But since that, since 2016, they are not allowed to travel anywhere. They are not allowed to walk. They are not allowed to go anywhere, So, Rohingya students are not allowed to study. They can only study until the grade 10. After they finish the grade 10, that means their education is finished. So, like these people in the valley, they have nothing to do. They cannot fish, If they want to go to the river or anywhere, they need the permission from the military or the Boragat police, which is rarely they issue, even with the big amount bribe. So they all are dependent of the food distribution made by the International Red Cross and the World Food Program, and sometimes the local authority restricted them, not to distribute the food. So like these are all the policy. There are a lot of things. I'm not saying it will take at least 2-3 hours to explain you every detail, because I'm running the network inside the country since 2012. I have the base in every township. I have update in my phone in every hour until now. There is nothing has changed. Every day there are several types of the persecution, like the sexual abuse, the harassment, torture, and the extortion. Like if one Rohingya go out from the home, he or she will face this Boragat police inside the village. Outside the village there are the military outposts. Inside the village there are at least 2 or 3 Boragat police outposts. Nobody can use the mobile phone outside, like with the smartphone. Nobody dare to go inside the village, and all the time there are the sexual violence against the women. Are in every village. Whenever they cross the Boragat police outpost, they are searching their. The suffering is every day. There are the limited access to the food. Daily livelihood, and also in the camp, I'm saying about the concentration camp, they are not allowed to go out from their camp. They are just also dependent on this food distribution. There are also sometimes like 1 month or 2 month restriction from the government just to make them the food shortage. This way, at least Rohingya are surviving, and some of them are fleeing to the neighboring country like the Thailand, Malaysia by the boat. They are taking the risky journey. Many were drowned into the sea. We don't really know how many hundred, how many thousand were drowned and killed in the sea. So all the policy are still in place. Nothing has changed. So today the court order to protect our people as other ethnic minority in the country. Let us see whether this Myanmar government and the military is following the order or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll turn to you now, La. I wanted to ask you, About the recent executive summary that was issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I believe, concluding that, well, yes, maybe there were war crimes, sorry about that, but no genocide, seemed very similar to what we heard from the agent for Myanmar last month in The Hague. I was wondering, I mean, you have maybe some reflections on that?
Yeah, I think all those, we have a press release, I think, I sent to the European Union Parliament, as well as the audience will be distributed those three texts. Everything that they make are highly flawed lies. They have made up their own commissions just to justify their own, mass atrocity crime, commissions of mass atrocity crime. They blanket deny, the blanket denial of what's happened on the ground. They say that so-called they have labeled the independent and impartial commission like under the clause of so-called that they are fact-finding missions of double IMs are just serving the interests of the foreigners so that they can destabilize the country. Their primary interfacing motto is that they want to stabilize the country, and the agent Aung San Suu Kyi during her first day at the hearing, he said that Burma will give a chance. How long do we have to wait for that chance to be given? We waited for 50 years as a whole population, or 70 years for the Rohingya people. Okay, they said all this international mechanism is jeopardizing the reconciliation process on the ground. And based on that primary opinion of our government, they released a very flawed report, which is consisting from every aspect of their particular articles, and we have refuted that in very much in detail. At the moment, I don't want to go into those details. I rather want to focus on the decision that's been made by the ICJ. At the ICJ, there are 4 provisional measures that have been granted unanimously.
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Sorry to interrupt you, brother.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Great. I would request that you, when I was leaving, we had a few other people with us.
Speak louder, is that what to say? Okay. The ICJ
No. Speak louder. I'm requesting for permission to make certain curfew time imposed inside the refugee camps. For myself, I have to go through a few checkposts before I get back to we will have to get going. And thank you for including us.
No, I think I speak for the room when I say thank you all so much for being with us. We really, really appreciate it, and we wish you the best getting home. Thank you so much.
Yes, today ICJ unanimously indicated 4 provisional measures to protect the right of Rohingya in Burma, with which Burma must comply. First, Burma shall take all the measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts of genocide, such as arbitrary killing, confiscation of properties, causing all kinds of physical harms in the body, and causing compelling the Rohingya population to flee the country. Second, the government of Myanmar must ensure that Burma military and all actors or groups operating under the military direction, influence or control not commit genocide as well as other mass atrocity crimes. Third, Burma must additionally take effective measures to prevent destructions and ensure the preservation of any evidence related to any acts of genocide. Fourth, and finally, Burma must submit a report to the ICJ on all measures taken into effect to the court's order within 4 months from the day that this order has been issued. And every 6 months there will be a rotating basis of countering each other's claim. So it's a long way to go, but I think, as I said from the beginning, the wheel of international justice has turned into our favor. And I think the world is not buying all the lies that have been producing both the government and Aung San Suu Kyi, because he says he doesn't have power, but he has the power to come to ICJ. She's paying attention, okay? On the other hand, she's saying to the Harrington audience that she's doing everything she could to save the image of Burma. This is another thing that we have to be careful. But either way, she's losing. I don't know why she's playing in this hide and seek or cat and mouse politics. That's what I have to add. Thank you very much.
Turning to you, Yasmin. Catching you on your phone.
Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I wanted to ask you about the aspect of the sexual and gender-based violence.
Just what I hope to talk about.
Good.
Yeah.
Please, go right ahead.
I'm going to seize the opportunity of being the only woman in this panel to talk about it.
So far.
Yeah, so far. There's still some, one more person. I just saw the press release by the International Court of Justice, and there are two separate opinions, and then Judge Su also put out. Sorry, the ad hoc judge appointed by Myanmar also put out his statement. Now, I want to begin with a quote from Judge Cansado Trindade. I hope that I'm not mispronouncing his name too badly, but he wrote in one of the paragraphs, "Human conscience stands above the will of the state." And I just want that to sink in. Human conscience stands above the will of the state. We have to be human first before we are a citizen of anywhere. We as a group of people have been persecuted, like my colleagues have listed, and you've heard millions of those stories many, many times before. But I still want you to hear this. The historical judgment today, or the order on the provisional measures and the long road that is ahead of us, although it cannot mend the wounds that has already been inflicted, although it cannot revive the people that have died, our most beloved ones that have gone because of this, the pain of being the other is just so grave. And although we're going to have to be really, really sitting down and thinking about how we want to envision our future past the ICJ case or past any other things that would happen to us in the future, we really have to almost come to terms with all of this reality that's happening so spontaneously, not at just this level. We're the privileged ones. We're the ones that are able to travel outside. The people at the camps are the real heroes. They survived. And they survived, and they're letting you know that they're going to continue to survive no matter who stand beside them or not. Now, some of the stories that I've heard of women who've been sexually violated or experienced any type of, even though the world has turned its back on them for many, many decades, they still want to live, and they made sure that we know about it. Their living today is a testament to how strong we are as a community. No matter what people say, no matter what level of education you think we have, we know one thing, is we want to be able to be as human as anyone else. And you're going to hear the word human so many times that I think you're going to want to block your ears, but it is important for us to realize what that means to us more personally, more internally. It is something we need to define within ourselves. It also sends the message to, the court order today sends the message to the survivors and the survivor of the sexual and gender-based violence, very specifically. although it's not, mentioned as many times as it should be, that impunity, that impunity is not for a long time. Impunity is no longer something that Myanmar military and the civilian government can actually enjoy. It walked away with all these crimes committed against us and many other ethnic minorities, including the ethnic sisters that have been raped. I recall hearing one of my colleagues from the Shan community at one of the conferences that we had at the Rohingya Coalition, that the military would try to atone for their sin of committing mass rape to children, to girls, by bringing them teddy bears. This is some of the things that they do in order to atone for their crimes. Imagine those who don't even think that that's a problem. And that's why any talk about repatriation, any talk about us going back home, anything at all, would have to then first come back to these women and ask them if they're comfortable. If they're comfortable going to face their perpetrators while their perpetrators are walking free, roaming around in the region. While their perpetrators live completely a peaceful life and never have to face a judgment in the court, or a day in the court, or any sort of punishment, punitive measures. I'm not trying to bring you down with all of my emotions, but it is important to acknowledge this, because what rape and what sexual violence does is it puts two different two different questions out there. It questions the humanness of a woman that is in front of the perpetrators. It, changed the scheme and the scale of the power that a person has. And it put in question, all the elements of what makes us human, or having the autonomy over our own lives. So in order for us to go and move forward, I really, really hope that sexual and gender-based violence would, remain the forefront of what we talk about and how we approach the victims, the people who survived, and that we will continue to keep in mind the elements of re-traumatization of rethink themselves at all. One of the things that I also need to highlight, I'm not sure if I've mentioned enough about this, but the ICOE report, or the Independent Commission of Inquiry, have mentioned in a very, very small paragraph. Actually, this was the executive summary from the President's office, President of Myanmar, saying in general, and I'm paraphrasing, I think in a very, very small paragraph within all these 15 pages of ARSA doing this, or so many different things about violence and communal violence and conflicts, and framing the issue of Rohingya in a different manner and taking it super lightly, saying that the commission found very little evidence, or found no basis of the evidence of the sexual and gender-based violence that took place, without interviewing any victims at all, without getting in touch with people at the camps, without talking to any of the people who actually witnessed it in front of them. They said that rape has no basis. And you need to know that we're living in a Me Too era, right? We believe women, and that's what we say. So as soon as something like this happened, it means that in a more general sense, and this comes from the presidential office itself, it goes to show that Myanmar remains a complete patriarchal country. And so all of these problems, and genocide is very patriarchal, if you have taken some sociology. But knowing that women in every single level of being exist, remaining of the power structure inside the country at the moment. If nothing changed at the top level, we can't go home. The ethnic minorities, brothers and sisters, will never get justice. They will never be able to, stop all these ceasefire agreements that come out every year. Every few months, there's these meetings between the leaders of each communities trying to work out the armed conflicts and whatnot. It's never just the armed conflicts. It's never just about the power scheme. It's never just about the land. It's about the people. It's about the money. It's about the most, patriarchal level or the highest office that makes these decisions to terrorize groups of people, to destabilize the community by inflicting pain on women first, because we are, the core of the communities. We are the, we are the center of the attention when it comes to what's the easiest thing to do to destabilize a community. Attacking women, raping them. Genocidal rape means that rape would happen in order to stop any procreation. And that's been the strategy for the longest time, for many, many decades. So realizing that there is a trend, realizing that the president's office that just, released a statement, released a summary 2 days ago, do not have a plan to right the wrongs, to change anything in this sense, means that you all and us, we have to be even more vigilant with the court order, but it has to continue. We have to stand with the people who are, at the crux of this all, and ensure that the military cannot, not just the military, but the civilian government as well, that they cannot walk away with impunity ever again. Despite what the courts say, or whatever the courts say today, tomorrow, 4 years from now, whatever the decision comes out. Now, on a personal level, and that's why I started with the quote of the judge, human conscience stands above the will of the state. It resonated with me in a sense that when I was in a cell, trying to come to Canada, and it was the time that we really need to get the exit permit out of the country. Thailand didn't have the policy to allow people to resettle or allow people to have exit permit without them having passports. And I don't know how much you realize how powerful you are, each of you, because you all have a passport. And that one document that you have opens so many doors that you don't even realize. We were stuck in a country. We were trapped in a country that didn't want us. And actually walking from outside of the detention center into the cell, I thought to myself, well, I'm never going to get out of this. And so many women who went inside with me, because they segregate the gender, we were sitting there day in and day out, wondering whether or not we're going to ever make it outside, whether we're going to be able to smell the fresh air outside ever. Very nervous, praying almost 24 hours, just wanting to look outside to see the sky. And that's the situation of my sisters, my brothers, inside the camps, inside Myanmar, right now. Although some of them are allowed to walk, within the vicinity of the camps, or in the internment camps, or in their village, there's still this element of feeling trapped and having no way out. This order today highlights, and it was repeated many times, that Rohingya are a protected group, are an ethnic group, are a group of people who are allowed to be here, to exist, to be human as much as anyone else. In the times of war, or peace. It does not matter. What matters is that we are human. And that, almost really made us all quite emotional. The one thing that I realized didn't happen inside that cell when I was just waiting for something to change, waiting for me to be able to come to Canada, to be resettled and looking forward to a new life, was that we're going to have this day in court. I did not imagine that. As a young girl praying for my parents to come home every day from selling street food and dodging the the immigration officer in Thailand, because the police roam around to find people to charge them, to deport them because of the immigration issue. I did not imagine that we would have this day in court. Being in Thailand for 16 years, or the history of me, of who I am as a person, or the connection to any of these people until much later in life, really, I did not imagine that we're going to have this day in court. And I can't imagine not thanking people that are with me today, the activists who've been working so hard for many, many years in order for this day to come, the grassroots activists who go out there and protest every single time something happens, government officials who decided to join us, Canada, Netherlands, the Gambia, who actually decided to bring about the case, even though it's really, if they don't do it, no one else will blame them for not doing it. So it is a historical day, like my colleague said, but I also want to emphasize the fact that, yes, we can be happy today, but I want us to be happy 4 years from now when the decision of the court comes. I want us to be able to rebuild this community stronger than ever once we actually have proper measures in place for us to be able to go back home and really, really become, parts and parcel of what makes Burma great, by working with people who are right now trying to change the narratives and trying to change the face of the political landscapes inside the country, and changing the hate rhetorics and making the Burma more democratic, not just as a token or as an incentive for fundings to come from outside, but real change. So I thank you all for being here, and I hope that I can count on you for many, many more events that are going to come. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to say, you mentioned that you hope you weren't bringing us down. I can say you're not bringing me down, you're inspiring me to do more. And that's where I wanted to come now to Tun. Yasmin also mentioned the amazing support that has happened so far, the grassroots activists, getting government officials on board and so on. Now that we have an ICJ case, and I think, let's all remember, we now actually have, what more can we do to support you in your work? Remembering here we have civil society, diplomats, media, others. What would you be looking for from us to help you in the, as you said, the years ahead?
I think we have to see, this is long way. This is historic day. We are very pleased. It is such a great momentum we can see in a few months' time about this justice mechanism we're going on, especially ICJ. In 4 months' time, we're going to hear what Burma will comply and what international community will support it. Because this is important that UN Security Council, they have to stop politics of, where Rohingyas are facing genocide. It's been set down many times, but we need to look at how many countries can move forward to support Gambia, one thing. We appreciate, of course, Gambia, Netherlands, and Canada. And many more countries need to come, first thing, to support Gambia. And secondly, UN Security Council has to monitor what Burma complied with these, measures. how they are moving forward. And international community, they really have to pressure more than ever. This is time more than ever we need, because International Court of Justice already granted for the provisional measure. How many more lives we need to be, how many more Rohingyas need to be killed to take to force them to take action? I mean, for the government. We appreciate international community concern. They're raising up the issues. It's been going on 2 years. We have not seen that much from the government side. A small country, Gambia, have taken this, and we are today here because of Gambia did that. We are enjoying this today, this joyous time. I've been advocating for more than 10 years, believe me. European Parliament, European Union, United States, State Department, US Congress, and Senate, and many governments and many countries. We appreciate their concern for support on humanitarian aid, but we want to see this is genocide, destroying our community with intention. They have taken away our ethnic right first, and then taken away our citizenship first, secondly, and then impose restriction on movement, restriction on marriage, restriction on immigration. That is what I have seen. My grandfather was a member of parliament. I was not recognized as a citizen. I couldn't go to the university in Burma. And I have faced those restrictions from The Hague to Amsterdam to go. We need to get a pass. It takes 2 to 3 days. If you want to get married, you need to get a pass. If you get married, sacredly sentenced to jail. This is what, in my childhood time, I have seen that. We've been crying for that. As a human being, what we need more, we are human beings, we want to live equally. My grandfather's time, that is what we had. So why I cannot, because this is very systematic, intentionally destroying our community. And then they create popular violence. And then a state-organized violence happened 2012, 140,000 become IDPs, and then they restricted humanitarian aid and people are fleeing by boat. Many people been, died at the high sea, and we have seen mass killings. So it's been going on for many decades. So why now? So that's why I mentioned it's very high time international community, governments have to support Gambia firstly. Secondly, they have to monitor, and UN Security Council have to monitor what is happening. And without other country support, Gambia alone will not be able to continue. It's a long way to go. We need to for this case. So with that, we can see something from international community, something to move forward. And another thing is not only justice and accountability measures. Not only this ICJ case. Our organization, Burmese Rohingya organization, UK, we did a case in Argentina. Still waiting to see what we can hear for when they open the investigation. And we have ICC case. So we need to look on that. One thing, military, and another side, government. They are working parallelly. We cannot divide. People are here saying, Sessuji can't do anything. And these are military things. And if we push democratic, this so-called democratization, so-called democratization so far we can see. How can 1 million people are facing genocide when they are snitched to the Rohingya victims like me, like us here? Because how can you forget 1 million people are facing this serious situation, and this is they're saying the other side is democrat. I can't see that. As a victim, as a genocide survivor, I would not accept it. And frankly speaking, because there is no such way. The whole system needs to be changed in Burma. This judicial system, military and civilian government, they are orchestrating. You see, the way someone say about ICOE, I do recognize that independent commission of inquiry. This is government commission. There is no such thing we should put either independent. No, not at all. This is systematically, they are trying to turn away this ICJ case. They just simply diverting the issue. And those commissions, they have no quality to decide what is war crimes and what is the genocide. There is no such qualification. They have that. Who they are, they can decide it. And they are not lawyers. Those are government director generals, and those are picked by the government. And this is, the admission of war crimes is actually denial of the genocide, the latest spin of this Burmese government. Believe me, this is just what they're trying to do. And the commission members themselves, the one secretary of head of secretariat, Lina Ghosh. She is head of secretariat on that Burma so-called ICOE head of secretariat. And the other side, she was sitting with Dosu in ICJ. Can you believe it? What a funny joke! It's a very funny joke. Serious. How could they do that? That's why we can see 70 anonymously this ICJ. And now nobody will believe them. That's much way we can see. And the other side, one of the commissioners is selling and taking the killing fields of the Rohingya on Tung Tat. One commissioner there. So he is the person. He is the confiscating Rohingya lands and those killing fields where Rohingya were killed. This commissioner, believe me, this is how this government, so-called government commission, why people are calling this ICOE. Very funny, unfortunately. And so they have no quality, no professional, nothing at all. Even some people graduate can do much better than they are. These are DG, so-called government, picked, all our government picked people. So we have to shake this narrative. We have to destroy the argument. There is no such way. People are killing, people are dying every day. We are receiving. I just received a message from the camp. How the people, they are not getting humanitarian aid better. They are trying to flee from the Sitwe IDP camps and talk to IDP camps. How many more Rohingya need to be died at the high sea by boat? Why? Because the government created impossible situation for the Rohingyas, whether you die in the camps or you leave from the country. There's two ways. One, that option. This is what even former President Thein Sein have mentioned, UNHCR High Commissioner, in 12 July 2012. The only solution for these people is whether keeping them in a camp or sending them to the third countries. That is, system. They institutionalized persecution, proper roadmap they have drawn. This is what going on. So, in this serious government support and other countries must support it, and this genocide will end. Thank you very much for all your support continuously. We really appreciate that, for your continuous writing to the media and talking to the media and writing articles and advocating to the government. We really appreciate. Many people are showing solidarity with us, supporting this cause, but governments, they are not doing enough. Much more needs to be done to stop this genocide. This is high time to push the Burmese government and to dismiss those ICOE and those kind of reports. If they come up next future, we have to report. They must just follow, comply these provisional measures. And then this genocide will end. Thank you very much.
Before I open the floor for comments, I think now you have something to add.
It would be great if I can have a few minutes, just
Yes,
5
please.
minutes, to add some comment about the so-called Independent Commission of Inquiry. My colleague and brother talking also mentioned about it, and he has briefed you. I still have some comment. Just now I'm seeing the article from the Financial Times here. Aung San Suu Kyi gives Myanmar time to deliver justice on war crime. This is, as he said, this report is actually in Myanmar, to accuse Tamaro something against Tamaro is, you have the high risk. But this report, they are naming it war crime. This was, the collaboration between Thermador and this 4 commissioner and the government to escape from the Myanmar time to deliver justice on war crime. So, as he has mentioned, all the 4 commissioners are the handpicked, that they were the former government employee, 2 ambassadors and the 2 from the Myanmar, they were not independent. They were picked up by the de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi. So they are not from the UN organization or any independent organization. And as he has also mentioned, for the Lina Ghosh, I will not go to the detail, he has mentioned detail. For the Lina Ghosh, if you want to see the photo, you can just go to the rohingyatoday.com, where you will see the 2 pictures. One is she was sitting behind the Aung San Suu Kyi at the International Court of Justice. She is advisor to the man who represented their Myanmar, Union Minister of the State Consular Office, Chotin Sui. She's the advisor of this Chotin Sui. On the other side, she worked for this so-called this independent commission of inquiry as the head of the secretariat. So now, with this only you can see clearly whether this independent commission is independent commission or the government commission. Okay? So let me go to another point, like killing. They have said, I have read the 15-page executive summary in English and the 26-page in Burmese language. So they have said that, 500 to 600 Rohingya were killed. Most of them are the ASA fighter, and a few of them are the villager. And as my sister mentioned, there were no rape at all. Only the full time, like during 2017 violence and the 2016 violence. I slept like daily 2 hours maximum to follow all the story. So I know everything, like they claim that on 25th of August, that the police outposts were coordinately attacked by the Arkan Rohingya Salvation Army. They are poorly armed, and the angry young people who are living under oppression for more than 4 decades. And there are the various media report, and there are the video clip as well on the CNN website. You can still watch, They have only the machete and the knife and the thing like that. How they can coordinate 30 police output? This is unbelievable. And also, we don't have any credible report that they have attacked the 30 police outposts on 25th of August. And additional new thing I learned from this executive summary, from 25th of August to 5th of September, another 26 police outposts were attacked by the ASA. I never heard this. So this is the new thing. The other things are, I have read all these things, before the Commander-in-Chief Facebook page was banned by the Facebook. So I read Burmese language. I speak fluent Burmese like other Burmese in the country. So I follow all the story in Burmese. So I have read all these things, on this Commander-in-Chief office, ICOE, about the burning houses. They have repeated like the military report, like ASAR fighter and the villager also burn the houses. They just put something done by this security forces, so they can be held accountable. And my point of view here is, this commission is to protect the criminal, the military criminal, the Mayonnaise, the top criminal, and the Nobel Peace Laureate Aung San Suu Kyi, de facto leader of the country, has been collaborating with this May Online since she came into the office. Military always claimed that, they got the permission from the president office. The president, former president Tinjo or the current sitting president Wimie, both are the puppet and they are nothing. They are not the decision maker. Aung San Suu Kyi alone is the decision maker. That because most of you might not read the Burmese language, and whatever you are getting in English language is the 15% or the maximum 20% of the news story from the country. So I read everything in the social media in every place. So she is the most powerful and collaborating with the May Online. She is complicity in this ongoing genocide. Another one thing is their commission claimed that they have interviewed about the 1,500 whenever they travel to the northern Rakhine State. I know at least 2 days in advance that they are going to travel there, because the local they were well trained by the local authority, military, Boragat police before they arrived there. So whenever they ask the question, they know what to answer. So in Myanmar, nobody, even whenever you travel to the area, even the UN special reporter were escorted by the security forces. Nobody, dare to speak frankly. They all, at least give the USB stick. This way all the UN special reporter got the information from the country. This is what I know. So this, let me conclude. There are also question and answer. So this commission, independent commission of inquiry this is not the independent. This is the government commission. Thank you.
So it's a big insult putting independent. That is my point. I'm coming up again. Because people are calling independent, it's a big insult to the victims. There is no independent word. Myanmar's commission. That's calling. Very biased. Myanmar's commission. Picked by Burmese government. Thank you.
Thank you. I promise I will get to you with questions and answers, but before we do that, I did just want to recognise the presence of the Gambia's legal team and say congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to our organizers, our Rohingya brothers and sisters, and to all of you who supported this effort. My name is Pai Makaron, and I'm here with my colleague Andrew Lowe. Dear representative from the Gambian government, Bafu, who is coming to join us in the front. I just wanted to maybe just share some quick words about really how historic and momentous this judgment is today. I think this is really a great day for not just the Rohingya, but for the future of international law, and especially the role of the International Court of Justice, the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, which has really risen to the occasion to protect human rights and, I believe, to deter further atrocities against the Rohingya until such time as the court delivers a judgment on the merits. I would stress that it is astonishing that there was a unanimous judgment on each and every order, 17 votes to 0, including the judge ad hoc appointed by Myanmar in this proceeding. The content of the orders are detailed, they are direct, they leave absolutely no ambiguity as to what the obligations of Myanmar are to take all possible measures to prevent genocide in accordance with Article 1 of the Convention. But what is truly remarkable and unprecedented is the reporting requirements. And we simply had asked the court that within 4 months, Myanmar should issue a report in respect of its compliance. The court went beyond that and required that not only will Myanmar have to submit a report within 4 months, but that every 6 months explain to the court what steps it has taken to ensure that there are no further genocidal acts against the Rohingya. This is unprecedented. Yes, and I'm just going to actually turn the microphone over to my colleagues, but I wanted to once again thank all of you on behalf of our Rohingya brothers and sisters, the government of Gambia, the legal team. This is a great victory, but there's still many challenges ahead, so we should not think that the battle is over. There are still many, many challenges ahead, and we look forward to even greater victories, but above all, we look forward to protecting the 600,000 Rohingya, and we hope that the government of Myanmar, which to its credit has showed up and participated in the proceedings, will take seriously the order of the court. I will just maybe pass the microphone over to colleagues.
I just wanted to highlight one further aspect of the provisional measures order that is particularly significant. The court ordered that Myanmar must take action to preserve the evidence. This is critical. It's a recognition that large parts of North Rakhine State is in fact a crime scene, and that Myanmar must take action not to destroy, but in fact to preserve the evidence of the crimes that have taken place there.
Nothing really to add to what Payam and Andrew have said. This is a tremendous victory for the Rohingyas, for the Gambia, for international justice. And it really is a team effort, and when you will read the order of the court of today, I think this order stands for the future, for any class of international law, that this order today are really also significant in the sense that the court is really living up to its own responsibilities and historic duties. On the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, I think this is not a coincidence that the court has been so far reaching in its order. We are going to face an uphill battle on the merits, but of course, with the measures that the court has indicated today, I think we will be helped, we will be entitled to comment on the reports that Myanmar will have to issue on a periodical basis, as I have indicated. And I think this is only going to help us in terms of evidence gathering, and we look forward to the next stages.
I don't think there's any more to add after all what they have said. I think we've all witnessed the historic moment that was made today, and we say congratulations to ourselves and also to the Rohingya community. We look forward to seeing how best we can move on from here. So, but just to add that the Honorable Minister, Ms. Abubakar Chambadu, would have loved to be here. Unfortunately, he couldn't, so he's asked me to extend his apologies and his regards to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just add also a word of thanks to all of the individuals, organizations, entities who have been so instrumental in shining a spotlight on what's been happening to the Rohingya, on reporting on the situation, including the UN investigators. The FFM reports, as you can tell by the order, were absolutely critical. The UN General Assembly's resolution, very important and critical role in upholding the international obligations and values that we all cherish, as well as uplifting the voice of the Rohingya who faced an unprecedented and unimaginable measure of oppression for decades. So thank all of you, to all of the organizers of the event today, and the events in December, and the event in November. Thank you so much for doing a very important job in making sure that everyone can hear the voice of the Rohingya directly. Thank you.
to you. Excuse me. Thank you very much. We have about 10 minutes left on as advertised, but we can go over. So I would now open the floor to you in the audience for comments, questions, and especially expressions of support for our Rohingya brothers and sisters and for the Gambia. So, can you please tell us who you are when you speak? Thank you.
My name is Letitia van den Assen. I'm a former Dutch diplomat, and I was also a member of the Rakhine Advisory Commission chaired by Kofi Annan, and spent 2016 and 17 traveling around Rakhine State and familiarizing ourselves with all of the many issues there. And my comment question relates to the Annan report. Today is your day, absolutely. I mean, I was almost in tears, Yasmin, when you spoke, because it's so emotional. It's important. You need to take time to see how, to let all of this land before you can decide on next steps. I understand that, but on the other hand, it's important to look at next steps. Because in Myanmar, and particularly in Rakhine State itself. And I want to focus on that because there's absolutely no doubt that of all the communities in Rakhine State, the Rohingya have borne by far, far, far the worst of all the atrocities and the oppression and the killing and the raping over many, many years. But there are similarities with what other groups have gone through, although they have not experienced that in the same measure. But we're seeing that right now, coming back to life, with the fighting between the military and the Arakan army. And the question is, particularly for Rakhine State, what can we do? How can we actually support that this new momentous day becomes a day for all the people of Rakhine State? Can we see it as a beginning? And first of all, it's your victory, it's hard fought, you deserve it. But we also know, and this is what the Annan report also says, is that there are three major crises in Rakhine State: one of security, one of human rights, and one of development. And that unless you address all three at the same time, it's going to be very difficult to overcome the problems. So what can we do? What could we do? And we, I mean, in general terms, not just me, but I think particularly also of NGOs, INGOs working in Rakhine State, diplomats in Myanmar, the UN, what should they do in order to take this momentous day forward? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take some questions and then, okay.